Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Moxxie Coaching podcast. My name is Michele, and I'll be your host as we explore what coaching is and how it can help you create your best life. If you're anything like me, it's important to you to give back in some way. Maybe it's volunteering in the soup kitchen. Maybe it's donating $1 million to environmental research. It doesn't really matter. I started coaching and podcasting because I'm just one person who can only do so much alone. And I realized that through coaching and through podcasting, I could help and support those of you who want to do good works and exponentially increase the amount of good that I'm able to do. So if this sounds like you, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Be well. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Moxxie Coaching podcast. My name is Michele, and this week we're going to talk about the concept of flailing. The concept of looking for purchase when it feels like everything is crap. This episode came about because I have found myself really struggling to pay attention to the news lately. And as everybody knows, things have been crazy in the world for, quite a while. But for whatever reason, I feel like I've hit my saturation point. And it feels like, if there's just one more thing that humanity has to deal with, I don't even want to think about it. And I know that I cannot be the only person feeling this way. In fact, I know people who choose not to watch the news or read the news or pay attention to the news at all because it overwhelms them and because they find it frustrating. And I really don't think that that's the best way to approach things. I think that even though I would love to be able to do that and just put everything aside, I feel like in order to be a responsible citizen, I need to know what the hell's going on in the world. And so I've had to figure out a way to balance out my knowing of what's going on in the world and being aware of everything with my ability to process it and my ability to not have it negatively impact me emotionally. I looked at the news this morning and there was news about wildfires, about floods, about hurricanes, about children dying from COVID, and on and on and on. And that's just what's in the news, right? That's not even what we're trying to deal with on the ground on a daily basis. I cannot even imagine being a parent right now and sending my kids to school. I cannot imagine how nerve-wracking that must be. And that's just one little teeny tiny thing, right? So let's say you're a parent in Louisiana and you're trying to figure out whether you're going to send your kids to school, but my home was just decimated by a hurricane. So I get it. And my purpose in bringing all of this stuff up is certainly not to depress you. It's to sort of bring to the forefront the fact that life is absolutely freaking bonkers right now. The energy in the world is absolutely freaking bonkers right now. And a lot of us are really struggling. A lot of us are flailing, trying to get some purchase and figure out how to positively move ourselves forward. So what exactly does flailing mean? Flailing is this concept of, and you've all done it before, where you feel like you're going to fall off the edge of something. And you know how your arms windmill and you're trying to get your balance and you're trying to get some purchase. get your feet on the ground so you know that you're not going to fall off that cliff or whatever it is that you're getting ready to lose your balance around. That's the concept of flailing. That's the concept that I think so many people right now are trying to manage. And it's overwhelming and it's frustrating and it's part of life, right? I mean, I think it's part of life regardless of when you live or have lived or will live. But right now, I think things are really, really challenging. And I wanted to be able to provide some insight and some tools and some techniques for people to use and to think about when they're in this place of flailing, just flat out trying to keep your shit together, not even necessarily moving your life forward, just keeping it going in a positive manner. You know, I'm not talking about changing the world. I'm not talking about starting a new business. I'm not talking about becoming the new guru. I'm talking about just getting through everyday life these days. It's almost like the universe is ticked off and they're having a little temper tantrum and basically throwing at us everything that it has to wake us the heck up and get us to reconsider how we're doing things. Although you might be struggling today, and although you may have been struggling for a while, and although you may be struggling for an additional while, just know that it's not a permanent state of being, that life comes in waves and things ebb and they flow, and you will not always be in this place of flailing. But if you're there right now, you need to really, really do some self-care. You need to back the heck up, drop some of the tasks, drop some of the responsibilities, drop some of the commitments that you've made, and give yourself some time to focus. Give yourself some time to chill out. Give yourself some time to maybe identify exactly why you're feeling this way, why you're feeling like life is out of control, why you're feeling like the other shoe is going to drop at any moment. Those of you who have been following my podcast for any amount of time know that I am a big advocate of journaling. Journaling can take a lot of forms these days. I do personally believe in the good old-fashioned handwritten journal, and that's because, in my opinion, the act of connecting our thoughts with the physical act of putting them on paper has some sort of magical manifestation ability. I am not really sure what that's all about, but that's just a feeling that I have, and that's the way I choose to do my journaling. I can type so much faster than I can write out things by hand. But I've noticed that when I type things, while the flow is sometimes a little bit easier, I just don't seem to get the same level of introspection that comes with journaling on paper. Now, I recognize that is not for everybody. If the only option for you to journal, if the only way you know that you're going to do it is to sit down at your computer once a day and just, type blind, basically type just whatever comes to your mind, 15 minutes a day, great, do that. A couple other options, it sounds kind of crazy, but video yourself. Do just like a mini video on your phone and Don't plan to send it anywhere. You know, you don't have to send it to TikTok. You don't have to send it to Instagram, any of those things. But sit in front of your camera and just talk. Talk about how you're feeling. Talk about what's feeling out of control for you. And do that for a little while, maybe a few days. And then go back and look at those and see if you can figure out where the patterns are. See if you can say, okay, a lot of how I'm feeling seems to be related to my kids going back to school, or a lot of how I'm feeling seems to be related to the fact that my unemployment's getting ready to run out, or maybe I'm feeling this way because my life is in absolute, complete, and utter chaos. Maybe you'll see some patterns. Maybe you won't. Maybe you will just find that there are so many things going on that you're just treading water. You're just trying to get through each day. And that is absolutely okay. The fact that you're listening to this podcast, the fact that you're willing to consider journaling, indicates that you are an advocate for yourself. And I truly think that being your own advocate is the first step to moving beyond feeling like you don't have any purchase, feeling like things are out of control. So you've been working on your journal for a little while, and you have started to notice that a lot of what is going on for you is related to X, Y, or Z. So now it's time to take a look at those items on your list, those X, Y, or Z items, and really step back, look at them critically, look at them from a problem-solving perspective, and try to look at them from the perspective of someone else looking at it for you. And this is because a lot of times we get so wound up in our own stuff that things that should be obvious to us are maybe not. And it takes the viewpoint of someone else to be able to point out to us where something is, where there's a gap. So can you do anything about these things? You know, can you truly do anything about it? Can you do anything about COVID? Yes and no, right? You have to decide how you're managing your own safety. You have to manage the safety of your children and those in your family. But can you do anything about the scope of COVID, the behemoth that it's become in the world? No, you can't. All you can do is manage what's in front of you and in front of your family at the moment, making the best decisions that you can, and trusting that by stepping back, by looking at things critically, by letting your intuition in a little bit, you may realize that, nope, I don't have any control over this. And rather than feeling, no, I don't want to tell you how to feel, rather than trying to control everything, rather than trying to identify the problem and solve the problem in a logical, linear way like we often do, and which I personally think is a great strategy. I use it in my life all the time. But I have learned to recognize the places where I can strategize until I'm blue in the face, and it's not going to change the situation any. So at that point, the best thing to do, or at least to try to do, is to let it go. And when I say let it go, I mean let go of the branch that you're hanging on to in the rapids and let the water carry you wherever it is you need to go. Because you can't fight it. And fighting it is only going to exhaust you. It's only going to wear you out. It's only going to wear you down and just make things more difficult. So if you are in a situation that there really is truly nothing you can do about, Just let it go and see where it takes you. In a river, when someone is drowning or struggling against the current or against the flow of the river, very often you'll talk to people who have drowned, and they'll say, "Once I let go, it was amazing. Once I let go, I was able to be pulled by the current to a place of safety." And that's what I'm encouraging you to let the universe do for you right now, is to embrace you, to give you comfort in the knowledge that there is absolutely nothing you can do and that you are just letting the universe take you where it is supposed to be taking you. Does that mean it's going to be a wonderful, happy place? Maybe, maybe not. But either way, you will not have spent days or weeks or months or years fighting a current that you really don't need to be fighting, that there's no advantage to fighting. So I guess what I'm saying is find the balance between planning / control and ease / flow. Depending on the nature of the situation, assuming it's not something critical that needs to be dealt with immediately, you can allow yourself to just put it aside for a while. And I'm not saying put it aside, wink, wink, and then never pick it up again and just sort of shove it under the rug. I'm saying give yourself a designated amount of time that you're going to spend actively not thinking about whatever it is in front of you. And by giving yourself a time limit, you are better able to, I'm going to back that up. I am better able to, and other people have agreed with my strategy, that having a designated time frame during which it's going to be put aside sort of cues your brain. For those of you who are overachievers and overdoers and overthinkers and can't ever stop thinking and doing, it cues your brain to say, okay, it's on the to-do list. Don't you worry. It is on the list. And if it's on the list, we know it's going to be addressed. So, therefore, no different than the proposal that I'm creating at work, or no difference between this and the brain surgery that I'm going to be performing next week, I'm putting it aside because I don't need to think about it now. And that, to me, has been the best, most amazing, helpful strategy for balancing out the part of my personality that is like a dog with a bone and will not let go of something until I figure it out, with the part of me that does absolutely not want to live that way. So yeah, just give yourself some time. Just say, okay, I'm going to, beginning 5 p.m. on Friday, I am not going to think about this situation or deal with this situation or energetically address this situation until, let's say, noon on Monday, because by noon that gives me the chance to deal with getting my work week started, and I'm not having to deal with this thing exactly at the same time when I'm dealing with getting my week started. But whatever it is, whatever it works for you, schedule the time and put it aside. And if you need to visually take something that represents what you're dealing with and put it in a box and put it in a drawer, that's fine. That is a great way, again, to cue your brain into recognizing that This is away for now, but it's not gone forever. If there are so many things on your list that you've addressed that you can't put them all down, consider which one you can put down for a temporary period of time that would allow you to regain your balance just enough to where you're not flailing. So that will take at least some of the pressure off. Let's say you're juggling COVID, back to school, unemployment, family troubles with the husband, family member who lives in California near the wildfires. You're addressing all of this stuff and you are really flailing right now. Which one of those things can you easiest put aside to get to the point where even if you're not completely at peace and zenned out over, the period of time like we talked about earlier, to at least give yourself a chance to breathe, at least give yourself a chance to take your brain out of that fight or flight mode, to calm your amygdala down. So whatever that one little thing is, put it aside, and at least you will have a moment's peace, a moment of maybe not full reprieve, but at least a moment of grace, I hope. And that sort of leads into the next thing, which is be kind to yourself. So many of us are perfectionists. So many of us think we can do it all, want to do it all, feel like we should be able to do it all, and give and take on other people's stuff, right? Especially if you're an empath of any type. So, given that that's the type of people we are, we need to be kind to ourselves. We need to remember that we don't have to know everything today. We don't have to finish everything today. We don't have to, whatever it is, we don't have to in this very moment, on this very day, in this particular time frame, or whatever it is that brings you up into that state of flailing. One thing at least has been put aside. Now look at what's going to make you feel better. Don't focus on all of the things that you're not doing. Focus on the fact that by putting something aside, you are performing self-care. And even if that is the only self-care you will afford yourself, you are at least doing that. I cannot stress enough how people like us, right? If you're listening to this podcast, my assumption is that you are a big-hearted empath, perfectionist, and someone who really wants the best for everyone, and someone who has a very difficult time not making everyone else's stuff their own. So at the very least, try to look at things if you're feeling in this place of overwhelm, and look at, okay, yes, I'm flailing, yes, I'm this, yes, I'm that. But what I'm noticing is that one of the things that has me spinning a little bit is thinking about my friend whose situation is this. Well, you are a wonderful person for caring about your friend that much, but your friend would not want you putting so much emotional energy into something that it's going to compromise you. So keep those kinds of things in mind. Yes, you are a giver. Yes, you want to help. And yes, the only way you can do it is if your own cup is full first. So if you're flailing, you've most likely spilled your cup somewhere and you got to fill it back up. Okay? God, that's a really bad, corny analogy, but I went with it. So I'll spare you any more jokes. Okay. Lastly, just get some help. People who are constant givers and doers, I think, tend also to be the type who are the flailers. And you don't have to do it all by yourself. There are people like me, there are coaches out there who get it. There are coaches like me who have been where you are. And because we're human, we continue to get into those places every once in a while. There are coaches, there are counselors, there are friends in a glass of wine, there, whatever it is. Just really, truly get some help, recognize how you're feeling, and love yourself for the fact that you're still putting in the effort and you are sure to get out of this one way or another, whatever the situation is. It will get better. And just be kind, give yourself a hug, and take care of yourself. All right, everyone. That's my soapbox for the day. Have a fabulous week. Bye-bye.